Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of videos. Today I have an endgame problem to show you today on Puzzle of the Day. This one has the following stipulation. It is white to move and to win this game. See if you can solve it. White to move and win. And as always, if you wish to pause this video to go straight to the solution, by all means you are more than welcome to. I will leave the timestamp for the solution below. So this is an endgame study, so this is not like my usual checkmate in X amount of move problems. This one of course is a study, so that means I would suggest, if you are going to solve this, try and get yourself a board, maybe play out a few variations, maybe play with your best chess friend if you've got one as well, and see if you can work through this position. So this one comes from L. Bodding. I believe it was published in 1948. I'm going to get it wrong. You'll see in the video the dates, the year for this one. So it's quite an old puzzle, this one, but it's got a very satisfying solution to it. So in this position, black has got two passed pawns, both on the A file. Over here, there's these two pawns that are interlocked. They're not going anywhere. White has got this passed pawn though, and there's no way for black to be able to stop this pawn. So the pawn will always be one step ahead of the black king. So it would make sense in this particular position to start thinking about pushing this pawn, but white has to be a little bit careful in this position. He does need to worry a little bit about black's counterplay in this. So the start of this study and the start of the solution begins with the move king to b1. This is the first key move. We're noticing that this black pawn could potentially promote. If we don't do anything like this, let's say we go over here, let's say, I don't know, do something stupid, then the pawn moves to a2 and it's going to promote to queen. We're going to lose this game. So, you know, we might think we can get this pawn down the board, but we haven't got enough time. This takes 3 moves. So just to show you this, you know, the pawn will get here, but the queen can just round it up very easily. So we definitely can't do stuff like this. So king to b1 is the key move. It stops all of black's potential counterplay here. So the solution then continues. a2 seems like the best move to trap the king now on a1. And now this is where things get interesting. So now black realizes he hasn't got any way of catching this pawn up, so he'll try king to b4, which actually does need to do this to make the solution quite interesting, as now after b6 he pushes his pawn to a4, b7, king to a3. You might be thinking to yourself, what is black doing in this position? What could he possibly be scheming here? Well, that's why he played that king to b4 move. So when the pawn got to b7, he would then have enough time, or create enough time, to put his king then onto a3. Now be very careful with your next move here. If you promoted or thought about promoting to a queen, well, I hate to break it to you, this is stalemate. The king has got no legal squares it can go to. This pawn can't move, this pawn can't move, this pawn can't move. So this is a stalemate. So you've got to be very careful. That's why king to b4 was played. So he triangulates into this square. The same problem happens after this pawn promotes. It goes to a rook. Very sorry, this is a stalemate as well. So this is now a very tricky little ending that black has created big complications here that white will need to solve. Now there's 2 pieces left that we could potentially promote to. We can either promote to a knight or we can promote to a bishop. Make a decision, see which one you think is better, a knight or a bishop. So you might have thought that maybe the knight would have been better. I mean, let's face it, this pawn over here is on a light square. If we promote it to a dark square bishop, it doesn't look like there seems to be a way that we can attack this pawn. So probably quite a lot of you, if you got this far in the solution, probably went, oh yeah, I'll promote this to a knight. In actual fact, this is a draw. The reason why this is the case is this black king has enough time to get over to this side of the board, where after the knight captures here, even though he has a passer, the black king will be able to deflect any pressure. So just to show you this, so king to b3, and then something like this move. We can do king to c2, and let's say the knight starts coming over. He might be able to throw in this check here, which looks very nice, but after king to e2, there isn't actually anything here for white. He might try and think about nabbing this pawn, but after king to f2, knight captures on h3. In actual fact, there's nothing here for white. He's going to lose this pawn. The king just simply shuffles along to then take this pawn. There just isn't enough time to capture the black pawn and then simultaneously be able to push this pawn forward. So I thought that was interesting. So we can't do anything with this knight. Well, we have to play this bishop move then, but does this move draw? Well, let's have a look. What's fascinating about this is after king to b3, a very key move here, and the good news is actually, you know, white can mess up here and still find the solution, just finds it a bit later. But here, a very key move now is playing bishop to d6 anywhere on this diagonal. The reason why that's the case is after king moves, he can't, basically what I'm trying to say here is the king cannot go back to a3. In fact, has to then move to either c2, c3 or c4. After he does this, what is really cool is that these pieces have created a barrier for the king. So the king can't go back into a safe haven where it was protecting these pawns. So now this pawn will fall very comfortably. Okay, black might try to hold on to this pawn for dear life, but eventually the white king will take it. And this is very nice because you can see here the king wants to get to this square, but we can play bishop to b4, and via zugzwang this king has to move away from the defense of this pawn. So let's say king goes over here, king captures an a4, and this is winning now. So eventually we're going to be moving our king over. We're going to use our bishop to then deflect the king away and then be able to win this position. Very interestingly though, this pawn is on the H file, so it's very lucky that this bishop is on a dark square. If this was on a light square, which I think is quite interesting, just to show you what the problem would be. I'm just going to adjust this slightly. Let's move this here. In this position, this is in fact a draw. I'm just going to flip this for a sec, just so you can see. This is a draw because all the king has to do is go into the corner of the board here, and there's no way to win with a H pawn that is a different colour to your bishop. The king just sits in the corner and does absolutely nothing, and this is a simple draw. I mean, that was quite interesting, that even though there is that promotion, it has to be to a dark score bishop to be able to win that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little puzzle. It was a little cute little puzzle, I think. I hope you enjoyed the endgame study. I hope you were able to solve it. As always, if you like what you see, leave a like at the end of this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out some more puzzles I've been posting every day for 2022. Take care.